marriages, and that's why you see violence in the marriage. You see dominance. You see the man beating up his wife and all of that. We've seen other societies when a politician does something wrong, he resigns, he gives a public apology, he's sorry. But in African society, never. They own it. They commit the crime with their full chest because that's the upbringing. Never be sorry. It encourages leadership styles built on dominance instead of collaboration and public service. So the mindset of public service is already eroded because of this brainwashing or this training that we gave from the onset, where men are to be tough. In the workplace, we see how employees work excessive hours. They can never say, "Oh, I'm tired." You can never admit fatigue. There's aggressive competition for promotion. All of these are part of the examples, the things that we're talking about. We see in our workplace, we see in politics, we see in our homes, we see expressions of power and dominance where people cannot ask for help. They do not lead with empathy. They cannot ask for support. They may be overlooked for leadership opportunities because they appear weak. That is the thing where we misinterpret gentleness or calmness for weakness. We think power is equal to force, dominance, and everybody has to maintain that status quo. It's national benchmarks that could redefine strength as protection rather than dominance. Instead of using your power to dominate another person, to rule society, to be forceful on people, how can you redefine it? How can you turn it to strength that protects the society and the people? As a nation, we can reshape our understanding. That's the honest truth. If we will just make a decision, we can reshape it by measuring and rewarding behaviors that will help us build a better society, build safer communities and healthier communities. Some of these benchmarks that we could use is to reduce this domestic-based violence, domestic and gender-based violence. Sorry, I mixed it up, okay? We can reduce these rates by this upbringing, particularly from the upbringing and how we raise our boys. We can reduce gender-based violence. It's not, like I said earlier, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not magical that will work once and for all, but we can start by reshaping the mindset of people, of everybody in society. We can expand access to mental health services. People are not allowed to ask for help. They're not allowed to express their emotions. If you tell somebody you're going to see a psychologist or a psychotherapist, they laugh at you and say, go and see your pastor, let him pray for you. There are some things the pastor can do, and there are some things the psychologist is there for. That's why he's trained, which is why I also push and I advocate for why churches should have a psychology department. As a matter of fact, churches should have a department where if your problem is emotional, is psychological, is mental, is all of that, have a place where you can talk to somebody and get help. It's not everything that has to be the pastor or whoever else we go to. Is it the imam as a Muslim, okay? So we should expand our access to health services, especially for boys and men, because these people are made to hide their emotions most of their lives. They cannot show pain. They cannot express themselves. They cannot seek help. They are designed to be tough every day of their lives. One day they will break. One day they will break. And that's why you now begin to see a serious mental breakdown. And then it has become a bad situation that you almost cannot manage. Right? So we can also increase the use of community policing and conflict de-escalation techniques like peaceful resolutions, ADR methods, rather than forceful fights, forceful show of strength. Rather have peaceful techniques of resolving issues. In the workplace also, we can measure safety, psychological safety alongside financial performance. We can have a way, I'm just trying to suggest ways that we can help to turn around this the use of strength rather than dominion or domination rather, We can also promote fathers' involvement in parenting. Some of the cartoons that our children even watch, if you sit down and watch some of them, you will see that it excludes the fathers. I don't want to mention anyone because I know that we are online, we're digital, but you see some of the cartoons give fathers a very bad name. They have cartoons where the fathers are not available. It's a subtle message we are passing to our children to say that the fathers are not important. You know, you see cartoons where the father is made, not even some childhood, our Nickelodeon programs now for teenagers. I see where they make the fathers look dumb, look foolish. Everything the father is saying is always foolish. It's the mom alone that makes sense. It looks like a cartoon. It looks like it's fun. We all laugh at it, but guess what? It's a brainwashing. It's a formation that we are giving to our young children and young teenagers to think that fathers don't know nothing. Fathers are dumb. Mothers are everything. It is also part of the feminism and all of that drive that we see going on around. But that's not the big topic this evening, okay? We can also increase women participation in leadership and decision making. This is a fight that it's been going on in our political society and all that, where we are clamoring for more and more female participation in leadership and all of that, okay? We reward organizations. A few organizations are maintaining these benchmarks. We can reward these organizations, where have rewards for harassment-free workplace, gender inclusion, a respectful workplace environment. We can reward these behaviors. It will encourage more and more people to put up the right character, the right behavior and attitude towards power as against domination.
Right. Thank you so much, Ma. It was really, really, really insightful. I picked two main points from it, and one was that um, the seed we sow in children really affect them when they grow up. Let's say this masculinity of the stuff we are discussing about is something we must train our children in when they were young and when they are young. And another thing I pick is the necessity of rewarding positive behavior, which is something we must not take for granted in our organizations, in our families. When you see a guy tells his sister sorry or something like that, his sister is hurt and he tells her sorry, it's something we must reward so as to encourage it. I'll leave the floor open for other contributions. If you have any other contribution, please feel free to raise your hand and let's discuss on that for a while. Okay, Mrs. Jennifer, over to you, ma'am.
So thank you so very much, Mrs. Adele. Honestly, you took way beyond your time, but I didn't even feel it. Like, I just wish you could just keep speaking. And sincerely, I agree with everything that you have said, because too often we celebrate the loudest people in the room, and we mistake when people insult people. We take them, we take that as courage. When people confront people, when people have the ability to make a lot of confrontation, we think that that is leadership. So a lot of similar scenarios have made us to misunderstand what true strength, what true dominance and true leadership is, because like in politics, elections have become a battle of domination instead of competition of ideas of how you are going to make the country or the area you are going to govern better. We'll talk about the workplace. Is not different. Many men, like Miss Adele said, there are some times that what you need is not just prayer. You go to the imam or the pastor or your traditional healer for prayer. Many men are afraid to admit that they are stressed. They are afraid to seek counseling. And this thing affects the family. When you realize that you are so stressed, seek help. There's nothing wrong with seeking help, because somewhere along the way, these men have learned that real men don't struggle. Real men don't cry. Real men don't have pain. Real men don't show emotion. No sign of weakness. Yakubu, manage. I was seeing a video of somebody training somebody to do exercise, and he kept telling the guy said, I can't go on. A real life scenario. And this guy was about to die, and he kept pushing him. He kept pushing him. You are a man, be a man. That guy's heart can literally break. The cost of men hiding their emotion are enormous. And how society keeps pushing it to men. You are a man. Why are you crying? It's not just a broken bone. You are a man. Why are you allowing your woman to talk to you like you are a man? You are a man. Those pressures, they cause burnout. They cause depression. They have caused a lot of broken marriages where a man could have just said, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. He keeps going on and on. In my culture. And then the woman will be like, okay, in your culture. And then this marriage ends like this. It results into violence. It results into substance abuse. Their friend will come and say, oh boy, me, when I'm angry like this, when I just take this tea and I relax, then before you know it, you cannot do without this thing. So the problem is even much bigger than individual. It's very systemic. It's how it was engraved in us along the way. So if we truly want to redefine power, like Adele said, we need new national benchmarks. Just imagine if schools measured performance by emotional intelligence along educational excellence. Like before you promote to the next class, you must have a certain benchmark of emotional intelligence that you have attained alongside the academic performance. Imagine if police performance included community trust, conflict de-escalation ability, and professionalism, and not just by the number of arrests that you have made, but they want to promote you based on how many people you have reconciled, how many excellent work you have done using your emotional intelligence as a police person or in your workplace. Imagine if organizations rewarded empathy, mentorship, collaboration, and ethical leadership. Just imagine where our communities will be. So this problem that men are enduring is not even just about individuals. Oh, people choose to do it. Me, I'm different. I'm a man, I cry. It's not about you. It's systemic. And so we must address it in that way, because these are indicators that can help us to build more peaceful societies. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to add. I am very, very happy with the way Miss Adele put it, and I'm happy for everybody that has joined us. Stay in touch. We're about to address one next very important question I don't want any one of you to miss. So stay with us.
All right. Thank you so much, our very own executive director. Thank you, Mrs. Adele, for doing real justice to that topic. We'll move straight to our other panelists, Mr. Obi Sunday. We often think of masculinity as a private issue shaped by families and culture, but could it also be a public policy issue that affects national development? What we'll actually be looking at now is what would change if masculinity become a public policy concern rather than just a private attitude, and how do our states, institutions reinforce harmful models of masculinity?
I would like to first of all say that this is probably one of the most important questions we can ask if we want to treat this topic of masculinity, because we often treat masculinity as a family issue, but its consequences is national. Just a few weeks or a few days ago, there was a case of someone who, sexually abused another lady, and she couldn't take it and she took her own life because she couldn't get the support that she needs. And, that really breaks my heart. But did that issue, it didn't end with her family. I mean, it became a national issue. And the truth is that became a trigger for other girls, other women who have suffered similar circumstances. So these consequences they are national, they are broad. So because when boys grow into men who cannot regulate their emotions, who do not know how to handle certain needs, I wrote a book that I call Understanding the Boy Child, and I hope that everybody on this call has gotten a copy of that book. It's a free book. It's not for sale, because it's my great passion and great desire for everybody to understand the boy child. And even men who have grown right now do not know how to channel some of these feelings that you have, some of these emotions. You don't know how to regulate your emotions. You don't know how to, to accept no as an answer. That book will guide you. And that is just volume 1. I have 2 and 3. They are all free materials. Because when we have boys that grow into men who don't know how to regulate their emotions, don't even understand their body. They learn about their body from social media, from YouTube, and from friends who are equally clueless like them. Then we have men who know that violence is now normal. Fathers can disappear from families and they think it's normal, just like in the cartoons that they are trying to portray now. You see a whole family is so dysfunctional. When the father comes in, the whole family pauses, they begin to laugh. We are sowing those seeds. But for everybody who is on this call, we need to learn how to address these issues when boys are boys, not when they are already men. And every man who is here, it's not too late for you to learn these things. Boys are not able to regulate their emotions, and this is one of the things that, it makes mental health to become ignored, because the men, they feel that I have to be a man, I'm the father in this house, I'm the man in this relationship. And then at the end of the day, you are not even thinking of the cost of your trying to dominate. Government will pay the price, you know schools will pay the price, the justice system will pay the price. Just imagine the hours it takes the justice system to give time to cases that should have been avoided if the boy child, if the man involved in such a case only knew what to do, how to channel his emotions, how to guide his emotions. Schools will definitely need to also teach emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, empathy, consent. What does no mean? Does no means no, or no means try harder? We need to also learn how to build healthy relationships. This guy, the book I wrote, will teach you, the teachers in our place. Everybody who is listening to us is automatically a teacher. If you have a young child in your life, then you are a teacher. It's not only those that carry biro and pencil and wear suit and talking and go to school that are teachers. You must train how to raise your boys with emotional development instead of just simply punishing their behavior. Because every behavior is as a result of an underlying result. There is something that is making a child do somehow in any circumstance. No child just wants to be rebellious. There is something that is pushing them. And then even in our police force, we keep talking about police, because recently we had a case where a young child, she was just 11 years old, she was molested since she was 5 years old. We have seen cases where some of these girls never get justice. And then we had a case in front of us, and then the police were telling us, or one police officer was telling us, how it's important for us to settle this thing as a family matter. But gender-based violence is not a family matter, it's a public matter. So police academies and military institutions must include trauma-informed leadership as one of their core competencies. Because you cannot have an officer tell you that a little girl of 12 years old, 11 years old, that has been sexually molested and abused since she was 5, that did not annoy your spirit on a normal day. You are seeing it as a family issue we should go and settle at home. Policy shapes our cultures, whether we realize it or not. But unfortunately, state institutions sometimes enforce harmful masculinities. Even our justice systems unintentionally reward violence. You have someone who has done something that deserves to be punished, and then that punishment is reduced or ignored. We had a case of a northern governor. The case is still fresh and ongoing. And, I was asked to be in that consultation. And, this man is sleeping with all his daughters, and they are all under the ages of 18. And the system wants us to just sweep it under the carpet like this didn't happen. And it shocks. It's really, really shocking. But since it's a sensitive matter and is a powerful person, so to what extent, at what level will the justice system, the rule of law prevail? To what extent? How many people have to die? How many little girls have to grow not knowing where to turn? How many little girls have to grow with so much trauma and hatred? Many people are suffering today. because the justice system did not help them. Sometimes schools even punish boys without even teaching the emotional regulations. The police, they punish people, send people to jail. Oh, you sexually molested somebody, go to jail. But when they come out of prison and they have still not understood exactly to what extent, yes, they know that to do these things are bad, but are they getting that support that they need? That is why this conversation matters, because at JUWACI, we often say that prevention is cheaper than intervention. Just like we always have a saying prevention is better than cure. So policy sometimes is simply a society deciding what it wants to reward. Now, if the society decides that they want to reward good behavior, or they want to reward aggression, then we will produce more aggression. If we reward empathy, responsibility, accountability, and service, we will produce better men in our societies. Because for me, this conversation is not about making men less masculine. It is about helping boys and men to become the kind of leaders that every family, every community, and every nation desperately needs. That is exactly how we can build lasting peace.
I wanted to pick on a very vital point that Chief Jennifer mentioned about the justice system, and when boys do actually, or men end up in jail, what we should actually be looking more at is restorative justice. How can we restore that person to a better member of society? That should be the goal of our, all of this we're doing. It's not to just find the faults, punish the people, but how can we make them better? So that's where the restoration comes in. And then as regards the public policy, that's always where it should be channeled towards. How can we influence policies that will then govern the actions of everybody? I think one particular thing we can look at is the curriculums. Me, I'm always big on going back to the roots, to the little guys, the children who are just still very formative and impressionable. If we can influence the curriculums that we present in the classrooms, we can include things like emotional regulation, integrate it to other things, good character, and the daily lives of every person. You know, we should teach consent. We should know when, like Jennifer mentioned, yes is yes, no is no. We should be teaching these things in the classrooms. How do we resolve conflict rather than escalate it? Let's look for more de-escalation techniques. These are things that more advanced societies teach their children from a very young age so that they grow with that mindset. How do we build healthy relationships for boys? Just like we've now included sex education. I know we've seen that in our children in school. Sex education, anti-bullying. We need to also involve this kind of classes also. We can also do mentorships, have more role models. We can recognize leaders that demonstrate integrity, accountability, empathy, like Jennifer kept emphasizing, empathy and service. People that truly want to serve. Let's recognize this kind of people. Let's use them as the role models to show that this is truly what power means, that you are humble, that you are accountable, that you have integrity, you're empathetic. This is the power we are looking for in our society, not one who dominates the people and make them subservient. We can use a discipline approach also, where it's not the forceful discipline that want to beat out the bad behavior, want to beat it out, but rather teach self-control. Still the restorative, teach them, reform the mind so that when they come into society they are better people. So there are so many things we can target, even in the health sector, in the law and our economy, in the social and economic lives of everybody. There are so many ways that we can public policy can influence masculinity so that it's not harmful, but rather it is positive and a great advantage to society. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so very much. Thank you for that contribution. I see Nado's hand is up, Omojo's hand is up. Please, Nado, over to you. Thank you so much. Make your contributions now.
Hi everyone, good evening. It's good to be here. My name is Nado. This is my first time being on this platform. Margaret has always been sending me links and inviting me, so I came because of her. And apologies, I didn't start from the beginning, but I got to hear a lot of things. And the last question, I think I joined towards the end. And speaking about masculinity, it's very, very, forums like this are actually nice. And I wish we encourage more people to join. I'm also someone who is passionate about things like this, and I do a lot of education, mentorship for young girls and boys and kids and teenagers and all that. And this issue about masculinity and men and women or boys and girls gender role, it's a very big issue, especially in Africa. And then our country, Nigeria. I just don't want to say only Nigeria because we are Africans. Um, the previous person that spoke said a lot. In fact, a lot of things I wanted to say. She said it already, but I think they said when there is a speech, you have to go back to where it started from so you can address it from there. So I feel like we have to address this thing. If we rely on the states, the government, the parastatals to do this, we would continue to fail. We have to go back on base. We start with, there's a saying, they say catch them young. We start with the kids as little children have a way they learn from seeing more than from hearing. So if you're a parent, if you're an aunt, if you're an uncle, you have to lead by example. We have to start teaching these kids one, things like chores. In this day and age, it's no longer about gender role. It's no longer about the girl child has to sweep, has to cook. It's about survival skills. Most of our young men are not able to survive out there because they do not have um basic knowledge of or how do I put it, basic, how to do basic things, how to take care of themselves, because they grew up in an environment where this is a man's role, this is a woman's role. So we have to go back and start, and there are some things that everybody should know. And then we teach our young boys to topics or things that before now were a taboo or it was unthinkable. You can teach the boys about period so they can support the girl child. So they can, if when they grow up and they see that a girl or a lady is in need, or they see a lady stained on the road, they don't laugh or shy away from it. They know that this is nature, how to support them. As some grown men don't even know the difference, don't even know, like they cannot go out and buy a sanitary pad for their significant other because they feel like it's not a man's job, it's embarrassing. How can I go and be buying a pad for a lady, for my sister, for my wife, for my girlfriend? So it has to be these little things. And then we have to drive it home. Our biggest institution to address this issue, it starts with the family, then it moves to the religious organization, because that is one, it is free. Two, it is where most of us have taken our mentorship from the church, from the mosques, if you're a traditionalist from that side. So if we start preaching these things, if we start teaching these boys to know, so she already
Okay.
spoke about mentorship. Young kids don't have mentorship nowadays. And that is, it goes as far as even into education, the courses they end up to do, the life they live. But if you have mentors, and mentors are people that hold you accountable and you look up to, mentors that are living a good life, I don't mean being rich, but a very, very good life. You're straight, you're living, you're impacting the society, and you're doing that. They look forward to. And that is why, in the absence of that, that is why we're having, permit me to use this word, the Holodo uprising, because we have misplaced priorities. We're replacing it's in this generation now, it's good to work smart, but we're replacing working smart with do you know what? Let me not get distracted. So we accountability. Every kid, as little as 1 year, can be accountable for something because they know what is good and bad. That's why when a baby bites the mother during breastfeeding, and if you smile, they think they're doing it right and they'll bite you again. But if you start putting this steps and these obstacles in front and these accountability panels in front, I think it's going to go a long way. And as we keep growing, there is a difference between people misunderstand sometimes gender roles, gender inequality with what's the word? What's the word? Um, the life is such that the man is the man. No matter how you try, you cannot be a woman, and no matter how a woman tries, she cannot be a man. So me, I'm of the opinion that there's always going to be hierarchy, but in this hierarchy, we have to know that there's a healthy one and there is the unhealthy one. So if we identify that, we know that okay, this part of masculinity is a healthy one. It goes a long way. And then some people don't know the difference between the healthy masculinity and a toxic one. What are the toxic traits? So, and that is where education comes in. We need to educate, we need to enlighten. And that is where the church, the mosque, the religious body comes in. That's where the family comes in. Then the schools, because the schools are a lot. The schools, first, it's a money-making venture before it is there for this. So there's a limit to what they can do. And because of a lot of restrictions and everybody don't want to be sued or, and all of those things, corporal punishment, all of those things. So the school, there's what the church and the mosques and the religious bodies will do more than the schools. Because the schools are focusing on other things. So if we do that and then we reward excellence, because she spoke about always punishment. If you actually, which is what we mostly do, but if we start rewarding excellence, if we start showing that, like, a man also needs to be soft, a man needs to speak. I'm just joining based on what I heard and all of these things that will help us. But then in the process, we don't need to make the man too soft just because we don't want him to be masculine. So it's a bit of a delicate
harmful masculinity, not just
So because the reason why we're having, because when they say, oh, you need to not be too masculine, and then you now turn to now become too soft, there's a problem. That way you can't protect the society. That way you have guys now preferring and all of that. So we have to balance it. A man will always be a man, but a man needs to know when to rest.
True.
A man needs to understand that a woman is also a mate. We might not be equals, which is okay. It's okay for we to know that a man is here and a woman is here, but it's not supposed to be like this. So if we learn mutual respect, appreciation for each other, and survival skills, basic survival skills, I feel like if we do all of these things and we bring it together, before we get to a point where the boy becomes a man into the society, if he has this thing, if he's bringing all of this from home, from the institution, and when he gets into the world, he will be the change that will affect other people who don't have these things at home. So I feel that's just I know I've been everywhere there and there, but that's just a little
you
I
made
have
you
to
made so
take
much
it back
sense.
home and all of that. So
You made complete
thank you.
sense, Nado. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your beautiful contribution. We really appreciate you. That was very, very insightful. And there is another hand, Omojo Isabella, please. You have exactly 3 minutes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much. Good evening,
Yes.
everyone.
Good
Thank you
evening,
for
ma'am.
the wonderful job that you've been doing. It's very insightful. And for me, I think it's very important that we are more intentional than we have ever been in raising the boy child. When something is done with intentionality, it paves way and it makes you see better results in it, because even in our workplaces, as much as, because I know the situation in Nigeria right now, in our workplaces, you see that it's very high when it comes to masculinity. It plays a very very crucial role, and that it even affects some women when it even comes to promotions. You hear things like, I have your type at home. Who are you to send me on this kind of message? Don't you know that I'm a man, you are the woman? And these are things that, as much as it stems from the family and going back to the school, it's very important. We need to come up with more modified ways, more better approaches. There's something that we did in my office recently. We came up with people signing code of conduct when it comes to gender-based violence, sexual harassment, and all those things. And there are trainings on it, and there are talks about it at intervals. And these are ways that when you have community-based organization, these are ways that we can come up with a framework for how organizations should run. That way, even when it's not public, as in, even when it's not fully committed, like maybe a particular policy is not being enacted or anything, it helps with the change that we want to see. So, as individuals, our message to people in our discussions, the way we relate with people, we need to be intentional about the changes we want to see. That way, we begin to address it from all angles, because the boy that is being taught at home is going back home to a father who does not have this training. He does not believe this. And sometimes could even be shut down too. But at the same time, we should be able to push narratives about it. We should be able to push it in people's faces. I mean, they're pushing a lot of rubbish in our faces. So what's wrong with us pushing this narrative that we want to see? Moreover, it is positive. It's going to be more impactful. We'll have a better society. There'll be social justice at the end of the day. So there's a need for us to be more intentional. And it doesn't have to be like setting up a body. Just we individuals participating in this meeting today, it starts from us. We could begin to change how we want things to be, learn how it should be. So when we are setting up frameworks, setting up training modalities, we could infuse these frameworks we want to see in our general training manuals, infuse it in a way that it structures it together. I could give you an example. You have some organizations that would say, fine, because of same way we decided to like, let us infuse things that will help the female gender. The same way we could come, you see projects that would say they want female participation 30% at least, 40% at least. They want ESCOs of groups to have a female member compulsorily. We could begin to infuse such things into a lot of our frameworks. That way, we are also making changes. So we are meeting at a point, and for the younger generation, it becomes easier for them to pave that way. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. God will bless you for every contribution that you have made. And I think we still have one more hand. Yes, Miss Nkechi. Oh, Barrister Nkechi, you have the floor, ma'am. Please, you have 3 minutes. We are way behind our schedule. We usually close at 10 o'clock, but we started at 7:05, so we're hoping to close at 7 o'clock. And I want to actually say that Nado, I think we went to the same NYSC camp, the Borno camp that happened in Benue State. So it's nice to see
No
you again.
way.
Yes, way.
No way.
Yes,
The
way.
things. Okay, later I would catch up, yeah?
Sure, we must catch up. Thank you.
All right.
So, Barry Sankechi, the floor is yours, man.
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Decorum. Later. Girl, you left me. Bye.
You are here now. Barry Sankechi, are you there, ma'am? Okay, Mr. Sam, over to you. If you have any comments in the comment section or anything you want to say before we close.
Good evening, ma'am. Mr. Benjamin Tezongwe, please pardon me. He dropped something on the chat box and he was like, I'm glad to be on this call. I got busy and only saw a notice that it is time. Then I quickly joined since I was available and a fan of this program. I enjoyed every contributions, especially from Miss Nando. I think Nado is a good candidate for the for this campaign. Wow. I would love to see you always in this meeting. Thanks to all the speakers and to the convener, Chief Jennifer Ali. Yeah, I'd like also to state to Mrs. Nando that we meet every last Saturday of every month for the Victoria Show and on the 8th day of every month for the Women and Youth Financial Empowerment Program. We'll be glad to host you and to have you in our meetings. Then finally, I would like to speak on two things. I'd like to speak on modeling, as Ms. Nando said. I'd just like to shed more light on that because you can't teach, you can't give what you don't have. If you really want to transform the children, then you must leave it out. As a father, you must learn to love your children, you must learn to love your wife, you must learn to show that love, and sometimes give yourself rest. You're not a strong man, you're not a Superman, you're not a Spider-Man. Forget that, go hard or you go home. So we just have to model it to them, show them that it's time to rest, you can go and rest. And finally, the part of rewarding good behaviors. I was reading a book of recent, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I really saw how important it is to reward positive behavior. People are susceptible and they accept rewards and celebration more than when you scold them. People become defensive when you scold them. So if somebody or commits an offense and you scream at him and you fail to reward the good things he's done, he'll become more defensive and he will fail to learn. So the way we can teach our children is to celebrate them in their little wins, celebrate our husbands in their little wins. And I think with that, we can build our society so better. And that's my take on that. I don't know if we have any other contribution. And
Barrister
if not, I'll
Nkechi
be...
said she was speaking, but she was not unmuted. So we'll give her just 2 minutes before we
All right,
close.
over to you, ma'am.
All right, thank you for the permission. Nkechi, over to you, Barrister.
Okay, good evening. Um, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I may not even be taking up to 2 minutes. I want to appreciate everyone. This is my first time joining this meeting, so thank you to Miss Jennifer, Chief Jennifer, that added me. So, I mean, I love where this is going, but I am also thinking about the action points. Someone also raised the issue, said something about restorative justice. Yes, the criminal justice system is actually thinking about that because recently we were actually trained on it. So they are trying to consider also that restorative justice, looking at the issue of what happened, how to reward or repay the offender instead of just sending them to the prison and then serving out and then coming out, and maybe the grief or the is still there. So that's the but another thing, this talking of masculinity and strength. I do a lot of counseling in FIDA, and I noticed that most of these women who come, it's actually one complaint or the other about leadership, strength, and about the behavior of these men. And we see these men come with entitlement attitude. So you see a lot of homes, these men feel like these women are not even their partners. They feel like maybe this is just someone helping me in the house or just helping me do one or two things. You see, there is financial abuse by these men, and they ride on it as if it's their strength. A lot of them abuse their wives through cheating, and I mean, this is how they view strength and in their own way. So I just said I'm not really talking. My own is I am asking, how do we even go about this campaign? How do we start raising the next generation of boys intentionally on how to build their strengths and not weaponizing their strengths and materials they have within them? Yeah. So thank you once again for convening this meeting and having me here.
All right, thank you very much for your question. How do we teach the boys that turn into men how to channel, how to understand masculinity, how to understand what strength is? Now, we have been running this Victoria show for the whole 1 year, 6 months. As a matter of fact, December 2025, We did 1 year anniversary of the Victoria show. We even produced a book. So if you have not grabbed the book, it's actually on Amazon, it's also on Seller, and then we have physical copies in Abuja, in Benue, and all over the country, the 22 states where our organization is based in. And I just want us to know that teaching the boy child before they become men that do these atrocities, that do not even know that these are atrocities they are committing. It is not a government responsibility, like Nado said. It's a community, it's a national, it's everybody's business. So if you have a boy child in your life, if you have a man in your life, there is nothing like it's too late for these ones. Let's focus on the younger ones only. I love the idea of catch them young. And I love what Mr. Sam also said. Leave, model these examples. Don't just mentor, You tell these children, oh, don't do that. To be a man does not mean you should not cry to be a man. And then you will never show emotion. You just keep going until you burn out, and then you begin to lash out. The children, they are just in the corner watching. So the responsibility to teach the boy child about how to be a better man, that the community will like, that the whole society will respect, and really, really, we need this type of men. It's our responsibility. If you are working in a church, you're working anywhere you find the opportunity, there is something called education, and that thing, it makes people to know. There are times that you are counseling someone on a different topic, and then you are looking at it like, this man does not even understand about masculinity. In fact, last year we treated this topic, understanding masculinity and femininity. We have like 3 chapters of this book that has carried out everything we discussed just in a forum like we have this evening. And we had so many wonderful contributions, and I captured all of them in this book. And also, everything that we have discussed this night, if you would all practice it, then of course our communities, our societies will raise better men for the future. So before we leave tonight, I want us to remember one thing, that harmful ideas about masculinity are not just men's issues, they are national issues. And this is issues that should be of highest priority. Mr. Samuel, did you have something to say before I bring the meeting to a
Yeah, I'm so
close?
sorry to cut you short. I
It's
just
okay.
wanted to recognize the presence of UHS Cares Foundation. You're welcome. We are glad to host you. You're welcome. I'm so sorry for cutting you short.
It's okay. I
I just have to
actually
recognize her.
do. I actually thank her for her patience also, because I didn't see that she joined. So I thank you also for recognizing her and for bringing her. If you permit me to welcome you one more time, our wonderful partner. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we want to thank everybody in no particular order who have joined us. Of course, our mommy Margaret Ando has been here from the beginning, and Dr. Maria Sule Onu has been here from the beginning. You know, everybody who is here, we do sincerely appreciate you. So as I was saying that, harmful ideas about masculinity fracture homes. They fill up the hospitals. I mean, you go to the hospital in the women's session and you will see maybe out of 50 women, 25 of them are in the hospital, and it's not because they gave birth. It's not because they have a real life threatening matter or a surgical case. It's because they have gone through a particular problem. It may even be a heart disease that developed as a result of the harmful ideas around masculinity. And classrooms are even empty because most people feel the boy child is the powerful one. Let him go to school. The girl child, go to the kitchen, learn how to cook and all that stuff. All these problems fuel violence. They weaken our communities, and ultimately they cost lives. Many people have gone who should be here, living out their destinies, fulfilling their lives, touching other lives. Just imagine that my life was cut short 5 years ago. The Victoria Show would not have been birthed. The Julie Brahma Women and Children Initiative, JUWACI, would not have been created. Now, 20-something people join this call today. And if everybody on this call goes home to do something different, then a purpose have been filled on this day. So the main question has never been whether we need strong men. We do. The question is, what are we teaching men as strength? Is it the power to protect or the power to control? Is it the courage to listen or the need to silence others? Is it the responsibility to build our homes, our lives, our communities, or the impulse to destroy? Because real power is found in self-control. It is found in integrity. It is found in accountability. It is found in service to yourself and to others. Because if we truly want to reduce violence against women and girls, then we must raise emotionally healthy boys who will become men. And then we must support men to become the best version of themselves. Just like Barrister Nkechi said and Mrs. Adele said, we cannot just keep expecting men to do everything, to know everything, when nobody has really taught them. Who taught the boy child? Now, this case that happened in Nigeria recently, everybody's blaming this guy. Everybody's blaming this guy. But my question came out differently. I'm not supporting what he did. In fact, he should be punished. We have sent many people like that to jail. We are still going to court on the 11th of August, and it's a done deal. But who taught this boy child? Because prevention will always outlive reaction. It will always end in, hey, if we had not, if we had, if we had, if we had not. Like my people will say, prevention is better than cure. Honestly, my sincere appreciation this night goes to our distinguished panelists for sharing their wisdom with us today, and to every one of you who chose to be part of this conversation. But this conversation does not have to end here. Take it to your home, take it to your churches, take it to your mosques, take it to your offices, and talk about masculinity. If there is any part of this conversation you did not understand, reach out to us. www.juwaci.org. Our email is info@juwaci.org. JUWACI. Just send us an email. We have a WhatsApp number 08055554942. That is the number for you if you have been abused and you need justice. We provide pro bono service to people who have been abused, who want to just talk about it, or who want to prosecute people who have offended them. And because finally, advocacy without action is just performance. When you come here, you talk about these things, but you do not act them out. You do not go ahead to mentor people, to model people, to talk about it and defend the cause. It's not for you to come here and talk, and then when you are in the office and masculinity topics are raised, you just keep quiet because you don't want to be shouted at, you don't want to be misunderstood. Be misunderstood in the area where you have your conviction, because our communities can only be safe if we come together and build more aware men. We'll build safer families, stronger communities, and a more peaceful Nigeria, a more peaceful Africa, and a more peaceful world. I am Chief Jennifer Hembafan Alih. I will continue to start conversations that many people will rather avoid. And I will continue to start these conversations until they become the solution for our nation and for the whole world. Thank you so very much for being here to the end with us. God bless you. If you're still